Well, welcome to the Dallas Film Podcast. My name is Tony Armour. I am the Dallas Film Commissioner, and today we have Sarah Kambe Holland with us, a filmmaker who's got a great little film we're going to talk about. And then we have another little special guest with us today.
Hi, my name's Anna. I'm one of the Dallas Film Commission interns, and specifically, I've been doing a lot of our podcast production.
And so I thought it would be great to have Anna actually be on the podcast with us today because she's the one who recommended Sarah and her film. And we both watched it,
Mhm.
and I loved it. I thought it was really, really great. So congratulations on the movie.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I watched it, and, like, one of the first things that I thought of was, I was like, "This is like the Gen Z version of 16 Candles." Um, I don't know if anybody's said that to you before or not, or if you've even seen 16 Candles.
I have seen it, yeah, I think that there have been some comparisons to, the John Hughes coming of age movies of the '80s for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely, for me, when I'm watching it, I was like, "Yeah, this is sort of like this new generation of," you had you great the '80s, I think, were probably the king time period for the coming of age high school movie kinda thing, and then some in the '90s, but it really hasn't come back in a full way since then.
Yeah, and I feel like coming of age has changed so much, especially in, like, the last 10 years just with social media and advent of technology, so that was definitely very front of mind, was trying to tell a coming of age story that's timeless while also still kind of tackling these modern age issues.
Yeah, what I thought was really great about it is the themes and the characters in the story felt like they could be in any time period. They could be the 1950s, they could be the '80s, they could be now because, we all change as we get older, but people really fundamentally are the same throughout the generations. No matter how much I like to say that the young people today or people who are in their 20s or in high school say, "Oh, old people today don't understand me," but it's been going on that way for thousands of years. As long as humans have existed, we've probably always been that way.
Oh, totally. And I mean, a lot of those core themes of like friendship and awkwardness of growing pains, those are all the same. Like those things don't change.
Yeah. So, Anna, you found Sarah and her film and recommended her for the podcast. Why don't you tell us like how this all kind of came about?
Yeah, so I discovered this film in, I think, early 2021, while I was working on another indie film that was shooting kind of in the midst of COVID called The Better Part. And I was doing the social media for that film on TikTok. And we had gone viral with a day in the life on a film set TikTok, and we had seen Egghead and Twinkie, the film that Sarah's directed, also making the same stuff, also going viral. And so we kind of became friends on TikTok like our films did. And ever since then, I've really been keeping up with the film because I love the concept of it. And I've been wanting to see where it's been going and everything like that. And just the amazing kind of story of its creation is something that I think is so interesting and so kind of timely, especially for young filmmakers like ourselves, which like I think Sarah can probably talk about kind of how their use of TikTok originated and like how that made Egghead and Twinkie the film it is.
Yeah, Anna, thank you for reaching out to me because I remember the better part. Because there weren't that many of us. I mean, maybe
No.
there's now, I'm not sure. But back in 2020, 2021, there weren't that many indie filmmakers utilizing the platform to kind of show the behind the scenes of the making of a movie. So your account definitely stood out to me. So this is cool that we're like
Yeah.
reuniting here on this podcast. I don't know. I think the exciting thing about TikTok and social media is that it's so new as a tool that we can use as filmmakers to grow our audiences. And in our case, we did the majority of our crowdfunding on TikTok as well. So it really was a game changer for us in a lot of ways.
Now, what platform did you guys crowdfund on?
We used Seed and Spark,
Yeah.
but we did kind of a very targeted marketing campaign through TikTok because we framed it as like, do you want to donate and help us be the first feature film to crowdfund on TikTok? So a lot of our donations that came in to Seed and Spark were through our audience from social media.
Yeah, Seed and Spark's a great platform. I've worked with them before, and I love what they do as far as not just trying to raise money for a film, but supporting sort of the whole ecosystem of being able to do a film through crowdfunding. It's like, oh, you need a camera, you need somebody catering. You can actually support those aspects directly of a project and not just here's some money to go make your movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Seed and Spark actually, helps prepare filmmakers to launch their campaign. Like, I really liked kind of the personal aspect of it as well and getting, feedback on your campaign before it went live.
Yeah, it's very good. So let's talk a little bit about the film itself. We've been talking about the film,
Mhm.
but we haven't actually told anybody that's listening here what the film's about, or kind of how it came about, how you came up with the idea and the concept to make it. So why don't you give us the pitch? What's the film?
Sure, sure. Yeah, Egghead and Twinkie is a coming of age comedy about coming out of the closet. It follows this teenage girl named Twinkie who's coming out as a lesbian, and her best guy friend Egghead, who is unfortunately not so secretly in love with her. So it's kind of exploring the changing dynamic of their friendship as they take off on a road trip to meet this online Instagrammer that Twinkie has a crush on named BD. So it's kind of a coming of age road trip comedy movie, all rolled into one.
And in the road trip goal is to end up in Dallas, which ties in with the Dallas Film Podcast
Perfect.
wonderfully.
Yes, it is. Yeah, they're on this trip from Florida to Dallas, so this is very appropriate.
Yeah, and, I think Florida's appropriate as well because, I was the film commissioner in St. Pete Clearwater and have, run and founded the Sunscreen Film Festival in St. Pete for 19 years. So, I my life is very tied into Florida. I just came to Dallas to take over the film commission here a year ago. So, I'm very familiar with all things Florida film industry. Now, did you shoot this in Orlando? Is that where you're based?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not based there anymore, but the whole film was shot in Central Florida within an hour of Orlando.
Yeah. And did you go to UCF for film school?
Yes, I did. So actually, Egghead and Twinkie was shot as my master's thesis film at UCF.
Okay, the short or the feature version? Because you did a proof of concept short, right?
Yes, we did do a proof of concept short that came first in 2019. Um, but the feature was shot as my master's thesis. So there's actually like a 300-page